It's a FaZe documentary, and it's the same person that dropped the Lacy documentary. It's the golf cart. Remember he dropped the Lacy one? Lacy didn't get lucky. He dropped one on FaZe.
There's some things in this world that money doesn't buy. Love, happiness. But what about a cultural phenomenon?
You have one chance in life to be a part of something like this.
Yeah.
Oh, this is gonna be a
the
banger.
spark that ignited a generation, dominated the internet, united strangers, and forged an unstoppable movement. But where there's lightning, there's always someone trying to put it in a bottle.
It is disastrous, and it only continues to get worse.
The downfall of FaZe was one fueled by greed, a corporate takeover led by a mysterious figure quietly lurking in the shadows.
This guy's whispering in my ear like, your life's gonna change forever, you're gonna be a millionaire, this and that.
A never-ending game of divide and conquer, cat and mouse.
I will never be like you. I will never take a check. And it's so sad some of y'all are taking checks.
A revolving door of billionaires, royalty, suits with more money than God, forced their way in, planted their flags, and claimed the logo as their own. But there was just one problem. Money doesn't buy what a logo represents. Growing up in the early 2000s was simple. It was an era of flip phones, shopping malls, and movie rentals. But if there was one thing that stuck with me the most from my childhood, it was that those damn video games were gonna rot my brain.
Bro, that's fat. Oh my god, do y'all remember these consoles? Dude, I remember, like, on Fridays, my mom would take me to the local GameStop, and I would be able to pick out a game. Like once a month on a Friday, my mom would take me to GameStop and I could get one game. Ah, dude.
Finding my first diamond in Minecraft, to screen cheating in Halo, and even establishing a crippling gambling addiction at the age of 10, video games completely consumed my childhood. Now, I'll be the first to admit, gaming wasn't considered cool back then. Honestly, most people just thought it was made for nerds. But then someone jumped off a crane, spun around 3 times mid-air, and trick-shotting was born.
Oh my god!
As YouTube exploded in the late 2000s, and blockbuster titles like MW2 and Black Ops took over like wildfire, a new wave of gamers emerged. And at the forefront of this revolution was a group of friends who weren't just playing the game,
was that
they were
Rug?
breaking it. Of this YouTube.
Oh my god!
As YouTube exploded in the late 2000s, and blockbuster titles like MW2 and Black Ops took over like wildfire, a new wave of gamers emerged. And at the forefront of this revolution was a group of friends who weren't just playing the game, they were breaking it. FaZe wasn't necessarily about winning matches. They were about creating moments, the kind that you couldn't ignore. Instead of focusing on objectives like capturing flags or planting bombs, FaZe members were in the lobby for one reason: trick shots.
Dude, I was so good at trick shots, bro. I was so good at these.
Every trick shot was a performance, and FaZe turned these performances into art. Their iconic ill-cam montages sync perfectly with music, transform simple kill cams into viral phenomena.
Montages?
These videos weren't just highlights, they were cultural statements. And every last detail was so effortlessly perfect.
What it was to like be asked to join FaZe back then.
I cried.
No contracts, no anything. Like it wasn't even a question. If you played Call of Duty during that time, your dream in life was to join FaZe.
What started as 3 guys playing video games and making videos quickly became one of the most exclusive status symbols in all of gaming. With members across the globe and thousands dreaming of being invited, being a part of FaZe meant you were somebody. You sat at the hypothetical cool kids table of the gaming world. Now, for most, that's what it would stay. Just a random sequence of 4 letters and a gamer tag. But for a select group, they would decide to take this opportunity and run with it.
What's up, guys? My name is FaZe Temper, and this is the FaZe and G Fuel House.
Founding members Temper, Apex, Rain, and
Wait,
Banks
what
made a
house
brutal
was that?
decision
Was
to
that
transform
the
their
New York
passion
house?
into a legitimate business. They split equity equally among themselves, each taking 25%, and began laying the foundation for what would become a viral empire.
So I'm here with Richard Banks, my new roommate.
They decided to take the Xbox parties into real life, moving into a house together in New York.
So I'm gonna be moving from California to New York. Yeah, this is.
Yo, I'm really realizing it. They really created everything. Like, they created everything. They popularized montages, they made gaming cool, and they were like the first ever content house. That's like nuts.
I really planned on doing.
The New York house wasn't about calculated moves. It was a natural evolution that I think just about every guy ever has gone through. And by sharing a space, they created this environment where creativity thrived. And their synergy was captured in every piece of content.
I love that so much.
Without even realizing it, they pioneered the content house model.
Did you guys
Team
watch
Hype House,
FaZe,
and countless
like,
others would later
during this
replicate
time? I
formula,
didn't.
all creating carbon copies of this exact strategy. The content house model works so well because each person acts as a character in the other's vlogs. It's a way to cross-pollinate audiences. If one member succeeds, everyone succeeds. And my god, did FaZe Clan blow up during this era.
Wait, Rug was in that house?
By 2018, FaZe Clan was at its zenith. They had become the face of gaming culture and one of the most recognizable brands on the internet. Hollywood Hills mansions, supercars, sponsorship deals, and a never-ending stream of viral content painted a picture of unstoppable success. Yet, just beneath the surface, a slow poison was spreading. Lavish spending, strained relationships, and the relentless pursuit of growth masked a deeper issue. Somewhere in the shadows, a mystery man began to emerge.
One of the first guys that came into the company, and I can't name names because I'll get sued. It's just annoying.
Like the ESPN documentary, it's like missing the most important like how he even lost the company. Nobody talked about it.
Sebastian Gertz is a businessman from Norway, who's a bit of a virtual ghost on the internet.
Oh, this guy did his research.
Outside of a few inactive social media accounts and a blog post from 2009 that claims that Sebastian was a common fake flexer at Stockholm nightclubs, there was honestly very little I could find about his personal persona. But I did notice a bit of a recurring pattern in his corporate strategy. There's dozens of registered companies under his name that filed for incorporation and subsequently filed for bankruptcy a few years down the road. Now, in 2014, Sebastian started a company called Hubrick. Hubrick was a social media platform, one that was meant to rival Twitter to be the next Facebook. It was pitched as the next big app to dominate the internet. But instead, it was just the first domino to fall in the collapse of FaZe Clan.
Disclaimer, this video is for informational purposes and entertainment purposes only. All statements and opinions expressed are based on publicly available sources, including court documents, news articles, and social media posts. I'm not a lawyer, financial expert, or insider, just a guy on the internet piecing together a story. If you have any concerns, I encourage you to read the original sources yourself. Now, this is a good strategy to put this. This is a good strategy because he can't get sued for this disclaimer now.
The saga of Hubrick and FaZe Clan starts back in June of 2015, when Sebastian Gertz reached out to FaZe founder Temper to discuss how he could break into the esports industry. And shortly after, both Temper and Banks were on the next flight out to Norway. Whatever was said in those early meetings must have left an impression, because over the next several months, Banks and Temper made repeated trips back, first to Norway, then to Berlin, and then to London where Hubrick had satellite offices. Each visit seemed to solidify their connection, with Sebastian playing the perfect host, parading them around Europe, showing them the sights, and immersing them in his world. Slowly but surely, he gained their trust. And once he had it, he started planting seeds. Casual conversations turned into deep discussions about the future of FaZe, about its potential, about how it could evolve beyond trick shots and Call of Duty montages. He positioned himself as a guide, someone with business acumen to elevate FaZe to new heights. As the months went on, the meetings became more serious. Plans were being drawn, ideas exchanged, but always behind closed doors. FaZe members would tease something big, dropping cryptic messages online about what's to come.
So where are you guys going? Tell the vlog where you guys are going. Tell them about FaZe Banks' exciting trip. Oh, is it a secret?
Then in January 2016, for the first time, all 4 of FaZe's founding members flew to Norway to meet with Sebastian. From the outside, it looked like a victory lap, an initiation into something larger. And just days later, FaZe made it official. According to Sebastian, Hubrick had invested $1.3 million into FaZe Clan to help them grow, and with that money came a new direction. The first major move? A complete rebrand. FaZe 2.0, an era that promised...
So this guy basically gave them money, but like, I don't understand, what do they need money for? See, like, that's what I want to know.
Production value, bigger ambitions, and an esports push unlike anything they'd done before.
I was posting some tweets about it yesterday, and we were talking about how we're changing production. Like, the production of our videos is going to immensely increase this year.
And that push started with their most significant acquisition yet, the purchase of the CSGO team, a move that redefined the esports landscape and cemented FaZe as a global powerhouse.
What is that emote?
From the perspective of the FaZe guys, Sebastian was nothing short of a wizard. In a matter of just months, he had taken their wildest ambitions and turned them into reality. Securing funding, making connections, and pulling the strings behind the scenes like it was second nature. So why wouldn't they trust him? In early 2017, FaZe Clan had fully settled into California, and with that came a major shift. FaZe wasn't just a group of gamers anymore, it was a business. Sebastian introduced a corporate structure designed to take the pressure off of the founders, letting them focus on what they did best, making videos while the executives handled the rest. Leading the charge was Lee Trink, a music industry veteran best known for launching Katy Perry's career. He wasn't a gamer, but he knew how to build plans and turn cultural moments into business empires. With Trink and his team securing deals and partnerships, FaZe was scaling faster than ever.
That's Katy Perry's dad?
Their newly hired chief creative officer had even locked in a production deal, greenlighting 2 TV-level series in the FaZe Cast and FaZe Full Throttle. But there was just one problem. Money. The $1.3 million from Hubrick was running out fast. Sebastian needed a new investor. Michael Stang Treshow, son of Millie Marie Treshow and the 7th-generation heir to the Treshow family fortune, with a $4 billion net worth in 2020.
Yo, this guy did insane research. Oh my god.
The single largest private residence in the entire country of Norway, and the car collection of all of our dreams. By all means, Michael Treshow is him.
Seriously?
According to a few Norwegian-based blog sites that I've loosely translated into English, Gertz and Treshow actually seem to go way back. I couldn't pinpoint exactly when or where they met, but in the spring of 2017, Sebastian began pitching Treshow on the future of the internet.
What is it, though?
And the pitch looked something like this. In a lawsuit filed in 2018, Treshow alleged that Gertz provided him with a pitch deck. One
Wait,
that
this
outlined
guy's
the
got
capabilities
lawsuit
of this app, such as
documentaries?
online shopping, the ability to book events and travel, and even downloading and watching movies produced by Hubrick's partners, Warner Brothers, Sony Pictures, Paramount, and even Fox. The app was to be state-of-the-art. The technology that it was built upon was worth tens of millions of dollars. Even with no active users, if they sold, they'd still sell at a profit. And Treshow bit, signing a check for $2.115 million on the spot. But Sebastian's ambitions were set much.
Wait. He paid FaZe 2.1 mil?
$5 million on the spot. But Sebastian's ambitions were set much higher than just a few $1,000,000. Maybe it was delusion, or maybe he was truly evil, but in July 2017, he coordinated a meeting between himself, Lee Trink, Treshow, and...
Spoiler alert. Later on, they recruit a fat slob. Like...
2 founding FaZe members, Rain and Temper. He pitched the group on a joint merger. The idea was hypothetically bulletproof. You had the most innovative app idea to rival Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. You had the billionaire to write the blank checks. And you had the face of mainstream social media to lead users to the app like moths.
Wait, so what went... I'm confused. What went wrong? This plan sounds fucking genius. They have infinite money, a new app, and then... the face of the internet.
To write the blank checks. And you had the face of mainstream social media to lead users to the app like moths to a flame. Everyone was in. Screw making a couple $1 million off of YouTube AdSense, the members of FaZe were ready to be the next Zuckerberg. Over the next year, Michael Treshow threw millions at Hubrick like they were fun coupons. He even believed in this vision so much that he wrote a term sheet saying if the app picked up, Sebastian would get half of his equity in FaZe. Members of FaZe worked alongside the development team to help make this app the best it could be. Sebastian brought in herds of new advisors, created a separate company that would represent the management side of FaZe Clan, and brought in Greg Selko, founder of Wanderset. And they created a joint venture called W8WS that would handle all the merchandising.
Anybody else in the chat confused?
FaZe Clan was at their pinnacle. Views were at an all-time high, and merch was selling like a god church.
I don't get it.
And in summer of 2018, the merger was signed and set into stone. Banks, Temper, Apex, and Rain turned in their share of FaZe, and return received shares of Hubrick. The offices were conjoined, bank accounts were shared, everything was operating under one roof. And that's when everything went straight to f***ing shit.
Life goes up and down, and the world can be a dark, sad place sometimes. You guys are...
This was a message sent to members of FaZe from Sebastian.
Life goes up and down, and the world can be a dark, sad place sometimes. You guys are responsible for bringing light into your own bubble. You keep that up. I've been fighting and grinding hard too, and yesterday we wrapped up the last funding also. So next month we take over absolute all operations. The start has been great, but it's just the beginning.
Hubrick, the company they had entrusted their expansion to, was nothing more than smoke and mirrors. It wasn't a groundbreaking tech startup, it was a half-built platform with no traction, no partnerships, and no future. The deeper they dug, the clearer it became. Sebastian Gertz, the man they placed their faith in, had sold them a dream built on lies. Then came the ultimate betrayal. Gertz allegedly forged signatures on the key term sheet, effectively stealing Treshow's shares, and declaring himself the single largest stakeholder in FaZe Clan. The realization hit like a gut punch. FaZe wasn't just in a bad business deal, they'd been outright deceived. What followed was nothing short of a corporate coup. One by one, those who had once stood by Gertz turned against him. FaZe's leadership, its investors, even the executives he had installed, all joined forces to push him out. And when they did, it wasn't a quiet departure, it was a total eradication. Reports surfaced of FaZe members storming Hubrick offices, shutting down systems, changing passwords, freezing bank accounts, seizing back control of what was theirs. The House of
So the guy was a complete fucking scammer.
Cards collapsed overnight. Allegations of corporate espionage, fraud, and financial mismanagement flooded the legal system. Lawsuits erupted on all sides. FaZe sued Hubrick, Hubrick sued back, and the entire mess unraveled into a legal war zone that would take years to clean up. For a while, FaZe kept the chaos under wraps, but then another betrayal sent shockwaves through the community. Only this time, FaZe wasn't the victim. They were the villains. Tfue, one of FaZe's biggest stars, dropped a lawsuit that rocked the industry. He wasn't just calling out a bad deal, he was lifting the curtain on exploitive contracts, unfair revenue splits, and FaZe was suddenly exposed as the very thing they once stood against.
Tfue is suing FaZe Clan!
I'm gonna be real with you. This is very weird.
What is in this contract is so bizarre. It's so
To understand what happened here, you have to
Release
understand
the contract!
It's a city built on hype and illusions, where fame is currency and exploitation is the business model. We've seen it happen to child actors, YouTube stars, TikTok influencers. Young talent gets plucked from obscurity, handed a contract, and before they know it, they don't own a single thing. FaZe was supposed to be different, but Turner's lawsuit shattered that facade. The brand was hemorrhaging trust. Despite Hubrick's deception about their app's viability, FaZe settled the debacle outside of court, conceding.
Let's see the Lacy contract. I don't even have a contract with FaZe. I don't even have one. None of us do.
15% of the company's equity to Sebastian. In doing so, they weren't just relinquishing shares.
I'm so serious.
They were surrendering a piece of their very identity.
What do you guys mean cap? What would there be a contract for? We don't get paid. We don't get paid in FaZe, and they don't take any percentage of any of our stuff. And FaZe is not like a... What would we even have a contract to sign for? You get sponsors? Well, yeah, but each sponsor is its own contract. Like, if you have a sponsor with this person, you have to sign a contract. But if you have a sponsor, it's like separate contracts for each sponsor. But there's no, like, Lacy and FaZe contract. Or Max and FaZe contract. You know what I mean? Ugh. How does FaZe make money? They don't. They really don't. I mean, like, FaZe is us. Like, FaZe as a company doesn't really make, they don't really make money.
The four letters that were once worn like a badge of honor in gamer tags now felt like a walk of shame. What once symbolized dreams, brotherhood, and a new era of gaming had become a punchline. The founders spoke openly about it, how wearing the logo felt like carrying the weight of a failed promise.
I couldn't even wear this logo for years, you know what I mean? And just like, I was like ashamed of it, embarrassed about it.
So they did what many do when their world collapses. They numbed it. Drugs, alcohol, reckless spending. It wasn't a party, it was an escape.
Are you serious? Come on, like, I know it's a waste of money, but doesn't that look fire?
And while the founders spiraled, the boardroom tightened its grip. New executives took the reins. Old ones were phased out. Lee Trink became CEO, and without the founders there to fight for it, FaZe Clan was left in the wrong hands. The new leadership had a vision. FaZe was a media empire, and esports was their rocket ship. They pitched it like 2010 Bitcoin. Get in early, and when this thing explodes, you'll be worth billions. The stats were staggering. Over 350 million followers across the roster. A direct pipeline to Gen Z.
Was a Gen Z company. Gen Z for Gen Z.
More social engagement than the Lakers.
Who is that guy?
Cowboys. The hype was undeniable. And investors lined up with their checkbooks in hand. Lee Trink tapped into his music industry connections, bringing in heavy hitters like Jimmy Iovine, the Beats by Dre mastermind. A $40 million Series A funding round followed, with names like Ray J, Sway Lee, Nigel Houston, and Pitbull throwing in their chips.
Dale.
With millions in fresh funding, FaZe went all in. A sprawling 33,000 square foot...
Who remembers this warehouse?
Dale.
With millions in fresh funding, FaZe went all in. A sprawling 33,000 square foot headquarters, new esports rosters in Valorant, Rocket League, Apex Legends, and even PUBG Mobile. High-profile celebrity signings in Bronny James, Snoop Dogg, Offset, Juju Smith-Schuster, and then the biggest leak yet, FaZe was going public. Through a merger with B. Riley Principal Group, they announced they'd be the first gaming org on the NASDAQ. From the outside, FaZe had arrived. The first esports org to hit the stock market. Millions in funding, celebrity partnerships, mainstream crossovers, they had won.
Minions spitting popcorn.
Or so it seemed. Behind the scenes, the executives were cashing in. While the brand expanded, the C-suite was quietly padding their pockets, approving lucrative bonuses and compensation packages stuffed with equity, voiding settlement agreements, operating without input from majority shareholders. They weren't focused on building FaZe's future. They were focused on extracting as much value as possible before the inevitable collapse. FaZe Clan's stock market debut seemed like an overwhelming success. The share price, which opened just above $10, skyrocketed to a peak of $23.
Yo, I'm realizing, I saw someone say it in the chat, FaZe basically got rug pulled, right?
$37 by August 31st, an impressive surge in just under a month. Reality came crashing down when FaZe released its Q3 financial statements nearly a month later, and investors began to see through the smoke and mirrors. The report revealed a jaw-dropping $130 million operating loss. As soon as shareholders saw the financial mess FaZe had gotten itself into, panic set in. Investors, realizing the company was essentially bleeding itself dry, ran for the exits. The stock price didn't just dip, it collapsed, plummeting over 95% over the next few months, and eventually bottomed out at just 14 cents per share. This wasn't just a case of overvaluation, it was a complete loss of confidence.
Stop laughing!
Once the reality of FaZe's mismanagement became clear, even potential investors wanted nothing to do with them. The company had gone from a promising stock market darling to a cautionary tale of financial recklessness, all within a few months.
State-of-the-art meets work of art. The Mercedes-Benz E-Class is automotive intelligence in its most exhilarating.
Hey, I just wanted to say thank you all for joining us here today at the funeral service for FaZe Clan. They had a great run, one of the biggest orgs in all of esports, gaming in general, really. And now they're buried 6 feet under.
But when the stock was finally delisted and the last corporate stronghold collapsed, it didn't mark the end. It marked the moment that FaZe was up for grabs.
Cringe.
And that's when the real threat appeared. The boardroom might have been empty, but the sharks were already moving in. Investors, holding companies, billionaires who saw FaZe as a lifeless asset waiting to be repurposed. Another esports org to buy, another brand to flip, another cash cow. The founders had seen this play before.
Dozens of people came in, to your point, got...
Little did they know they'd be signing FaZe Lacy!
These people are all writing their own deals and the ones kind of behind the scenes making everything happen, right? They don't give a fuck about us at the end of the day. It's all about money for them.
They could roll over again, let someone else take control, and watch FaZe be rebuilt in someone else's image. Or they could fight.
This FaZe is a movie. I don't know how it ends yet, but it's a movie.
This wasn't going to be a passive fight. This wasn't some half-hearted attempt to regain control. This was war. And if FaZe's enemies had taught them anything, it was how to play dirty.
I feel like these overcomplicated it for a long time. I'm done being told no.
For years, Suits had come in, stripped the company for parts, exploited the name, and milked the fans dry. Now, Banks was taking a page out of their own book. No politics, no negotiations, just absolute destruction.
If you don't with this vision, if you're not in line with this, see you at the top.
He wiped the entire slate clean. Dozens of members kicked. Contracts, torched, socials, blanked. The logo, the brand, everything went silent for months. FaZe wasn't dying, it was shedding its skin.
We're turning the chapter and we're doing new
This wasn't about nostalgia, this wasn't about fixing what was broken. This was about burning the whole damn thing down and rebuilding it from the ashes.
There's a lot of things that are gonna happen, a lot of changes that are coming.
For years, people said FaZe was over. They said it could never be what it once was. But the thing about FaZe, it doesn't die. It can't be bought.
No matter how much money you have, you can't buy what we created.
It's not a stock price, it's not a balance sheet, it's not a marketing play. It's an idea, a legacy, a culture. And no matter how many times you try to kill it, it always finds a way to crawl back out of the pit. When the reboot was finally announced, Banks pulled from the original playbook. The new roster was rebuilt with A-list celebrities or recycled esports veterans. There was no overpriced signing spree or desperate attempt to buy relevance. Instead, they went back to their roots, picking up real grinders, the ones who actually wanted to be there. Blackboy Max, Silky, Jason the Ween, Stable Ronaldo, and Lacy. A mix of names no one had ever even heard of before. Different backgrounds, different styles, different platforms. And at first, fans were skeptical. After years of watching their childhood heroes get swallowed by sponsorships, boardroom deals, and soulless branding, trust wasn't given. It had to be earned.
What the f is that sorry-ass new FaZe Clan lineup, man?
This dude fucking ate his words, didn't he?
Who
Who the f are these people?
But then something changed. The streams continued to roll in, and month-long subathons blurred the line between entertainment and obsession. Viral clips dominated every algorithm. A content machine began running hotter, faster, and hungrier than anything FaZe had touched in years. With the numbers skyrocketing and a new fan base growing, suddenly it all felt real again. Not a marketing ploy, not a nostalgia trip, just a group of creators who actually loved this shit. Who weren't here for a paycheck, weren't here to coast off of the name, but were here to build something real.
Yeah, thank you for the 50 C-Dog.
Jason, I got you a taco!
FaZe wasn't for sale anymore. They shut down the stores. They ripped the brand deals off of their streams. They walked away from millions on purpose. This wasn't about squeezing every dollar out of the brand. This was about earning respect again and creating the content that the fans actually wanted. The founders had been through the fire. They had trusted the wrong people. They had watched their creation be gutted from the inside out. And now they weren't just rebuilding FaZe, they were protecting it. Banks, Temper, Apex. They became the mentors they never had, the guides they so desperately needed when this journey first started. They reclaimed FaZe to answer the what-ifs, to see what could have been if the first domino hadn't fallen, smothering that spark nearly a decade ago.
I'm in this position where, you know, I put my faith and trust in all the wrong people. It felt like, right?
Hey boys, how you guys doing? I know you guys have been struggling a little bit lately, but I want to say that I'm really proud of you.
I'm at this rock bottom moment in my career where I was pilled on the fact that, yeah, like, you're going to lose all control over this company.
We're in now, it's full time, and I've hired almost 30 people to support you guys every single day.
The crossover and like the way the Venn diagram works with my dad and how much he loved this and his advice ringing through my head, trust yourself, trust your gut. There's going to be people trying to take this from you. Tell me and Tommy before we moved to New York.
Before it even happened.
And you think it's your dad being a dad, like, dude, shut the f up. Like, we know what we're doing. It's not that serious. It's not that deep. We play Call of Duty, like, calm down. I'll never be able to fully come to terms with the fact that, like, that's the note that my dad had to leave on, was seeing, like, me in that tough spot, because he saw it. You know what I'm saying? It's horrible. Like, it's something that I'll never fully be able to, like, make sense. You know what I mean? But it was his favorite thing that's ever been created, and that's kind of what I'm doing it for. You know what I mean? Yeah. But that's what matters. The we're talking about right now, that is what matters. Like you said, it's what you leave behind. It's like, if I could help one kid accomplish that with his dad.
You want to say hi to my dad? Hey! Papa, how are we?
Like, you know what I mean? Not to get, like, super, like, poetic or cliche about it, but, like, that's, like, that is all I want. Like, that's all that I want for the rest of my life.
Your son is 20 out of 10. He is the best. He's one of the best people I've ever met my whole life. You did an amazing job. Thank you. I love you. I love you, man.
And I'll never not trust myself again. I'll never allow myself to get that close to somebody who doesn't give a about me or doesn't have the same vision, priorities, values as me. Ever again. I'll never allow it to happen. Ever again.
Damn.
I love that. I love that so much. I love business hacking. I love that. I love that. I love that so much. I love that.
No, an ad?
Yet. Working on it.
Oh, that was the end. That's a great video. Holy shit.